English Weekly. Your English Weekly. La chronique 100% en anglais de Radio Grand Lac avec Sinead.
Oh, bonjour à tous ceux qui nous écoutent aujourd'hui en Radio Lac 92.1 FM et bienvenue à l'émission Your English Weekly. Je suis Sinead Dupont, votre professeur d'anglais. L'objectif de cette émission est stimuler la langue anglaise et l'expression anglaise. Chaque semaine, vous découvrez soit un nouvel article, une histoire inspirée d'un élève ou d'un étudiant de Your English Workshop ou un ami, comme aujourd'hui. Cette émission est aujourd'hui sponsorisée par Your English Workshop, qui est un centre de formation pour l'apprentissage de l'anglais pour les adultes et les enfants certifiés Calliope. Alors, je tiens de vous dire, ce week-end, nous avons organisé un petit tour de vélo autour de Lac de Bourget et autour de Aix-les-Bains, excusez-moi, en anglais, bien sûr. Rendez-vous à 9h chez Toinet, à côté du McDonald's, à Aix-les-Bains. Pour plus d'infos, vous pouvez consulter notre site internet www.yourenglishworkshop.com. N'hésitez pas à partager cette information avec vos amis. Donc, restez à l'écoute pour nos prochaines 15 minutes pour notre expression de la semaine et notre conversation en anglais avec Luc Morel.
Bonjour.
Hello, Luc. Thank you for coming. Donc, notre leçon cette semaine, c'est de niveau B2. Hi, and welcome back to Your English Weekly. Today we have Luc who's going to give us a lesson about the 4th of July, because if I'm not mistaken, today is the 4th of July. Isn't that right, Luc?
Yes, it is. It is the 4th of July, and I will present a little bit of what the 4th of July is.
Fantastic, with Independence Day, wonderful. But before that, Luc, let's come and have a look at our expression of the week. So this week, our expression is, it's not rocket science. Do you know what that might mean? It's not rocket science.
Well, it sounds familiar for me.
Mm-hmm. Any idea?
I'm not sure. I will...
Okay, well, we'll see at the end then. Not to worry, we'll see. So listeners, wait till the end to find out what rocket science means. But before that, Luc, can you tell us, before we do our little lesson this week, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who you are, where you come from, why the 4th of July is important to you?
So my name is Luc. I was born in France, and my mom is from Ohio. And she came to France and she met my father, and so I've lived here my whole life.
Okay, so you're half American and half French.
That's it.
So that's why you know so much about the 4th of July and Independence Day.
Yeah, I go about every year to the United States with my mom to see my family, and with courses, with classes, and also with my family, I've learned a lot over the years about Independence Day.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so before listeners, stay tuned now, because before we Luc gives his story of the 4th of July, perhaps you can give us some meanings of some words. So we're going to hear some new words today. One of the words we're going to hear today is ratified. Luc, can you explain to the people what ratified means?
So ratified is a verb. It means to make an agreement official.
Okay, fantastic. And approve, the verb to approve.
So approve, it means to have a position or an opinion of something or of someone.
Okay, to be in agreement, yes, to approve. Passing, because we have different ways of using this, but here, how are we going to use passing?
So passing here would mean passing a law, passing a text in a. It would be more in a political term. In a political.
Okay, so passing a resolution would be approving the resolution.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Stem from. What does stem from mean?
So stem from, it means that it's something that's central. And that central to a theme, and different themes or different things are growing from this
so
base.
It comes from this base.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Bonfires. What is a bonfire?
So a bonfire is pretty much it's a big fire.
Yeah.
And people often do it during celebrations, and people gather around it, and it's very nice to watch. The
equivalent in France would be the Saint-Jean?
Yeah, I think that would be a good equivalent. And there are less and less bonfires because they can cause some certain problems.
Yeah.
But they're still
They can be dangerous. Yeah, they can be dangerous. We have to be careful. Followed by muskets. What is a musket and what is a cannon?
So a musket is a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And a cannon, it would be...
a machine?
I guess, it would be an old machine gun.
Yeah, that they used back in the day in the 1700s. Okay, and then we're going to hear the word pyrotechnics. What are pyrotechnics?
So pyrotechnics it's pretty much a show of fireworks.
Yeah.
That's publicly displayed.
Yeah, exactly. We often have them on the 14th. Or is it the 14th of July in France?
Yes.
Or the 15th of August? Yes.
14th of July.
Yeah. Outset. What is outset?
So outset is an equivalent to the word celebration.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, Luc, are you ready to give us our lesson today about the 4th of July?
Yes, it would be a pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, off you go.
So why do we celebrate the 4th of July? Independence Day is a federal holiday in the United States commemorating the Declaration of Independence, which was ratified in the by the Second Continental Congress on July 4th, 1776, establishing the United States of America. The founding fathers, delegates of the Second Continental Congress, declared that the 13 colonies were no longer subject of the monarch of Britain, King George III, and were now united, free, and independent. The Congress voted to approve independence by passing the Lee Resolution on July 2nd and adopting the Declaration of Independence on 2 days after, on the July 4th. But how do Americans celebrate the 4th of July? Many modern Independence Day traditions stem from America's early independence celebration. People would attend bonfires, concerts, and parades to celebrate their new nation. It was also common for the Declaration of Independence to be read out loud, followed by muskets and cannons, and the shooting of 50 bullets to represent the 50 states of the United States. It's safe to say that the earliest Americans celebrated the 4th of July loudly and proudly. But why Americans are questioning their 4th of July? Well, it's important to say that in the United States, 40% of the Americans don't celebrate the 4th of July because of their customs. Some Americans also have a lack of history knowledge and don't understand what the 4th of July represents. And it's also important to know that the 4th of July is a day that represents different things for different people. The United States was based on the idea of freedom and security, and sometimes this balance between these two notions is a little bit controversial between different groups of people. Now we're going to see how did the United States become independent. So the founding fathers, delegates of the Second Continental Congress, declared that the 13 colonies were no longer subject to the monarch of Britain, King George III, and they were united and to declare the independent states. And the Congress voted to approve this independence, passing the Lee Resolution on July 2nd. Before that, the tensions started brewing between Great Britain passing legislations that gave it more control within the colonies, especially when it came to taxing the colonists. The crown was in debt about the French and Indian more, so it started taxing American colonies to boost its revenues. The passing of legislations like the Stamp Act in March 1765 and the Townshend Act in June and July 1767 and the Tea Act in 1773 forced colonists to pay more money to Great Britain, even though the colonies didn't have a say of the Crown's policies. This became known as the taxation without representation, a concept that was heated pillar in the American Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Events like the Boston Massacre and the Boston Tea Party further escalated the tensions between British occupiers and American colonists. Those tensions exploded in April 1775 when the Battle of Lexington
and
Concord broke out in the Massachusetts as a British forced attempt to confiscate weapons from the colonists, and it was the first attempt of colonial
the militars
to battle British troops, and therefore started the American Revolutionary War.
So what happens now today?
So today, the display of pyrotechnics have been a big part of the Independence Day for the celebration with the garden parties and family gathering, and the commemoration of American independence to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illustration from one end of the continent to the other, from the time forward and forevermore. And that was just like wrote John Adams in a letter to his wife, Abigail, who was written in July 3rd, 1776.
Okay, so all of that. So that's globally about the 4th of July. So now what I'm really interested in is, how do you Americans celebrate this 4th of July together? What is some of the things that you do? Do you go to these fireworks? Do you go to different places, family, friends?
So I was once in the United States during the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And it was quite a few years ago, but I remember that there were fireworks.
Yeah.
And we had a few people who came at our grandfather's house.
Yeah.
And the only thing I remember really is that we had a big cake with frosting on it, and the frosting was representing the flag of the United States.
Okay, so frosting, just let's explain to our listeners what frosting is.
So frosting is...
it's like an icing.
It's an icing, yeah.
Yeah, it's a topping on the cake. So you had the American flag, and you put out all your little banners and your little flags, and it's a day off, I presume, for most people.
Yeah.
Okay, well, wow, that sounds great. And what part of America are you from?
So my mom is from Ohio, and she was born in Cleveland.
Okay. And so they're big celebrators of the 4th of July?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you for all of this information. And now we know what we can do today when we have nothing else to do this evening. We can celebrate the 4th of July as an American. Why not? Well, let's come back to our expression, rocket science. So, rocket science is something that is not as difficult as it seems. So it's something that is easy to do, easy to understand, and something that is feasible for everybody. Okay, fantastic. Well, listeners, that's all we have for today, and that's all we have for this season, because we have come to the end of the season 2 of Your English Weekly, and we will be back with season 3 in September. So listeners, Oh, that's all we have for today. And we will remember to go onto our website if you're looking for any information and click on Your English Weekly to listen to this podcast again on YouTube. And you will see my Facebook page with the expression of the week. And of course, I'm going to wish you all a wonderful week. And thanks, Luc, for coming today to talk about the 4th of July.
Well, thank you for having me here. It's great.
Oh, fantastic. And listeners, do stay tuned today because you're going to have Jessica at 1 o'clock with the latest tendencies in English, in decoration. And you will have Jerome at 6:15, who will be with you today. Well, that's all for us today at Your English Weekly. And I wish you all a wonderful summer. And I will be back in September with new guests, new ideas, and of course, don't hesitate to send all your comments. Well, that's all from us today. Bye to you from us at you.
Your English Weekly. Your English Weekly. La chronique 100% en anglais de Radio Grand Lac avec Sinead.
Radio Grand Lac.